Boom. We're live.
Boom! We live.
Dude, how was Utah?
Utah is magical.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've never been a big, I don't know, beach guy. I mean, I like the beach, don't get me wrong. Right? Don't take it as, fuck the beach.
Hold up. Utah doesn't even
No, I'm building up to my point.
Okay.
Right? I've never been a big beach guy, right? Because, the sand kind of pisses me off.
Dude, I fucking hate sand.
Yeah. But Utah sand hits different.
Utah sand where?
Utah is all sand, bro.
Uh-huh.
I guess where we were at. We didn't go to Salt Lake City. So we were, in the east part of the state.
Okay.
And the east part of the state is, all desert. That's where, Zion, Moab, Arches, and shit like that is. And that's what we did. But, yeah, it was amazing. So fucking good.
Yeah, I bet.
So good. And, yeah, I mean, literally, it's we were hiking in, a natural desert dome the whole time. It was so sick. So the first night we got in, we were in this little bum-ass town called Thompson Springs. That was, just north of Arches National Park.
Yeah.
And it was a tiny town. Nobody there. They had a 7-Eleven, dude. And then, our Airbnb. That was it. It was, 7-Eleven, and then, this...
the one Airbnb in town?
Yeah, it was a 7-Eleven, and then, this guy owned, a Airbnb lot / RV parking, camping kind of thing. And so he had, 3 or 4 sort of guest houses, if you will, that were his Airbnbs, and then you could park your RVs there as well. And when we got in, it was snowing.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was snowing. There was snow on the ground. A little bit of kind of wet snow, so it's kind of rainy a little bit. But yeah, we got there, and then we drove through Arches National Park, and where we were at, we were north of the entrance by 45 minutes, or probably half an hour. But I found a little sort of back road through the national park, which was it was government land, but dedicated purely to camping. So in Utah, they have a bunch of Bureau of Land Management roads where you can park anywhere on those roads, camp anywhere on the land around those roads. So people, you can literally just stop, pitch a tent, and camp, right? Without renting or reserving a spot for camping like you do kind of here.
Uh-huh.
So we drove through the backside, and it was super cool. And Arches is crazy because they have a bunch of crazy land formations and shit like that. Super sick. And we went to Moab, which is surprisingly also a very small, weird town.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty cool. And we stayed, our last Airbnb we stayed in was in it was on the other side of the mountains in Utah, and it was on these people private property, sort of in the country of the area. But it was near Canyonlands State Park, which was Coral Pink Sand Dunes State Park, excuse me, which was just a bunch of sand dunes and shit. And we did some sandboarding.
Whoa.
It was pretty cool. I mean, we weren't fucking tearing it up or anything.
Shredding.
Yeah, we were equivalent of riding a snowboard down East Back Hill,
Okay.
but on sand dunes, so it was pretty sick. And yeah,
Did you
dude.
fall at all?
Oh fuck yeah! The first time I went down,
Did
dude.
it hurt?
It kind of, because the sand is so hard,
Yeah.
when you hit, I went down and I rode it out, but then I turned too hard. Or no. I dug in forward, so I did a roll and flipped down the last part of the sand dune. But it was super sick. And I mean, we did a ton of hiking. We went to Zion and had this crazy hike we did called Angel's Landing, where it starts out and it's just an uphill walk basically, and you hit a bunch of switchbacks where you're going uphill back and forth, probably 10 times, which led up to another set of switchbacks, but were more tight. So you're just back and forth, probably 20 times, and it was so exhausting. But beautiful, so crazy. The rock formations and just the natural landscape in Utah is so beautiful. And the last part of the hike was on what they call the chains. And it's literally some parts are more dramatic than others, but to get the point across, you're walking on, probably this wide of space, uphill, holding onto these chains because, if you're not like you don't have to be crazy careful, but I mean like if you mess around, like you could slip and fall 1,400 feet to the ground.
Yeah.
Like on either side of me, on this side you could see the road, like fucking way down, and on this side is the river, dude. And you're like holding all these chains and just walking, and you're literally like it's Angel's Landing, dude. Like you're like touching heaven, bro. You're so high up, and on either side of you are just dramatic drops to the ground, and you climb that for probably half a mile until you get to the final spot, which is the landing, and then you can just see out for so many miles.
Wow.
It was just crazy. Like anybody that's thinking about going to Utah, 100% do it. Go to Utah. Go to Zion. Zion. No, without a doubt. From all like, I mean, I haven't visited 1,000, a bunch of national parks, but I mean, of the national parks I've visited, I mean, it definitely, in my opinion, beats like Rocky Mountain National Park as far as like hiking goes, as far as sort of like just the impact that the experience has and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy beautiful, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, our trip was just filled with just like beautiful
Yeah,
experiences.
that's
Amazing.
awesome.
And like Utah is so crazy because like even in Colorado, right? Like Colorado, you kind of have to. What up, bro? In Colorado, you kind of have to like camp in designated areas,
Yeah.
or like reserve places to camp, or be in the national park to
Not
camp.
Utah.
No, Utah, bro. Literally, where we went to kind of like a not a secret hiking spot, but it was kind of a hidden off to the side hiking spot that our Airbnb hosts suggested for us. And I mean, as we were driving there, it probably took us 45 minutes to drive there. And I mean, the road we took, you could stop at any moment and just camp on the side of the road. And we saw so many trucks and cars and stuff that had stopped, and nobody was to be seen because they hiked out a little further to camp. And it's like you can just camp everywhere, and it's just so cool how, at least in that part of the state, I imagine you're like the city, Salt Lake City and stuff like that. It's a little different, just because it's a little more regulated. But
Yeah.
in the part of the state we were, you could literally just stop off and camp anywhere, and like nobody was gonna bother you.
No.
It's not the same like in Nebraska, right? Sure, you can be in the country and maybe like pitch a tent somewhere, but if you're just parked on the side of the road, somebody's gonna stop and question it, right? Because it's not like understood that section is just people can just camp, dude. And so just like the appreciation for just like the natural land, and the appreciation for people to just have the freedom to go park somewhere, camp, and do what they want to do, like it was so cool. And you really just get the impression that people there just really care about like the outdoors.
Yeah.
They
That's
care about
awesome.
the environment. They care about everything there. So cool, dude. Like,
Did you know me and Katie are going out there?
I was gonna tell you, bro. If you guys have been thinking about it or anything, like 100%, you and your Katie need to go.
Oh, we are.
Yeah,
We're
go
going
to.
to Moab.
Yeah, Moab's pretty cool. If you're staying in Moab, that's cool. Arches is nearby, so definitely check out Arches National Park if you have the time, because they have a bunch of cool hikes there to like really cool, like huge arches that are just
Yeah,
like
I was
natural
looking
arches
it up.
and stuff.
It was fucking wild.
And if you guys have the time, for real, go to Zion, dude. Go to Zion. Definitely recommend doing Angel's Landing. Super sick. Katie and I want to go back though because they have another hike in Zion. They have a bunch of different hikes, but Arches or Angel's Landing is super dope. And then they also have one called the Narrows, where you suit up, dude, in bibs and boots, and you walk through like water in the canyon and shit like that, and like hike through that, and like it just sounds incredible. So we want to go back and do that. So if you guys get the opportunity, definitely go to Zion. Without a doubt.
How long did you guys stay there?
We were there so we got to that small town, Thompson Springs, on Thursday evening, and then we left. We got home, on Monday, like at 4 o'clock. So we were there for quite a while, but we had a lot of stuff we were trying to do. But I think Arches you can definitely do in like a day. But then if like you want to do Zion, like if you're thinking about doing Zion, definitely consider like giving like at least 2 days to it, because there's just so much to see there. Like I wish when we were there that we had even taken the time to like take in like a tent or something to stay in there, just because it's so fucking nice, dude.
Yeah.
Beautiful, amazing. And the one thing that we had troubles with is Zion National Park has a shuttle system that they run where you get there and you can buy a shuttle ticket, like a day shuttle ticket for like it's only $1, but they take you along stops at the trailheads that you can take. So like they took us to the Angel Landing trailhead. They'll take you to like the Narrows trailhead and shit like that. You don't necessarily need the shuttle ticket because you can park and then hike up to the trailhead if you want to. You can walk there along the road. But the shuttle definitely makes it easier. But the nice thing about the shuttle is you can take it to like Angel's Landing, hop back on the shuttle, take it to the Narrows, right? You can all do it with the shuttle as opposed to like hiking there, doing the big ass hike along wherever you do, and then hiking again to another spot. You know?
Bus is here.
Yeah,
Bus
dude,
is here.
it's so nice. But the only thing about the shuttle, dude, is it sells out so fast.
Really?
Yeah, so they do, I think, bi-monthly. At the beginning of the month and middle of the month, they do like mass tickets where you can buy ahead.
Oh.
But then otherwise, if you want to say, we did it on Sunday, so we had to buy the tickets at 5 p.m. Saturday when they released the tickets. We had Katie's phone loaded up 4 minutes prior to tickets went live. We clicked, the minute 5 o'clock hit, we clicked, we needed 2 tickets at this time at 7 o'clock for the shuttle. Dude, the server crashed. We couldn't get tickets. And like within a minute,
Sold out.
all 350 tickets.
How much are they?
$1.
Whoa.
It's only $1 for a shuttle ticket. But like in a minute, dude, we were like, oh my God, we missed our spot. And then we barely managed, instead of getting a 7 o'clock, we got a 9 o'clock pair of tickets, dude. So like, if you want to do the shuttle, and our thing is we were freaking out because we had read online that you needed the shuttle. When you don't, you can hike up to the trailhead if you want to. But the shuttle makes it a hell of a lot easier if you can get a shuttle ticket.
Yeah.
So if you're going, say, like in, I don't know, like June or something, keep an eye out to buy, if you go to Zion, keep an eye out to buy a ticket
Buy those tickets,
early, for the date that you want to be there at Zion.
Okay.
Because, it was kind of a headache. We were worried that we weren't going to be able to make it. And then we got there and we met some girls who were like, yeah, we just hiked up here. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We're just stressing out all about these shuttle tickets thinking we wouldn't be able to hike, to the trailhead. But that's it. Like I said, the shuttle just makes it a lot easier because, I mean, the hike we did was a 5-mile hike uphill. So, like, to hike the 3 miles or whatever to the trailhead and then hiking another 5 miles uphill, round trip, I mean,
That's wild.
so 2.5 miles uphill.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you go from, base camp 1,400 feet plus. I mean, that's a pretty big climb. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's beautiful, dude. I mean, it's anybody in the world needs to go to Utah.
I was looking at pictures. I was like, damn, this shit.
It's gorgeous, bro.
Well, we're talking about Zach's trip to Utah.
Yeah, I just came back from. That's why last week we didn't do an episode because I was in Utah on vacation.
Where's the apology video?
Yeah, I'll be uploading my apology video later this week. I apologize.
No, my family and I went to we did like Utah, Colorado trip kind of thing. We went to Salt Lake City. That's like the only place in Utah I've been to. That place was pretty cool. But other than that, I've never like really experienced Utah like that. It sounds sick.
Yeah, I've never been through Salt Lake City. I've driven south
Salt Lake
of
City
it.
is cool.
I've heard. I drove south through it when I did my solo trip when I went to Washington or whatever. But definitely like the part of Utah that we were in was just like, I mean, it was nice because you disconnect from everything and you're just surrounded by like just nature, dude. And it's different from here because like we have grass everywhere, dude. But like there, it's rock, it's sand, and it's desert shrubs and shit like that. Now at first I was kind of like, I'm not gonna, I didn't think it was gonna be my thing, because it just seemed a little too dry for me or whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, it has my heart right now, like dead ass. Like it's so beautiful. And like for example, Gus, because we took Gus with us. His doggy bag holder, when we were at the sand dunes, got like thrown around in the sand and shit like that because all the wind. And like every time I'm pulling a doggy bag out, sand is falling out, dude. And it's just like, I just gotta go back, bro.
Yeah.
It's so fucking nice. And like I've always loved Colorado. Like to me, Colorado has been the place that like I want to go visit Colorado because I love the mountains. I love that shit. But there's something like to me that's just a little more special about like maybe I guess because of how different it is from here. Because it's
have you
more
only
wet
been
and
to
humid and
the
shit.
Rocky Mountains in Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
You've only been to the Rocky Mountains.
In Colorado?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like
have you been to like any other like mountain ranges? Like,
no, I've never been to like the Appalachian Mountains or anything like that.
well, no, because like when I went to Colorado with Kate, like I've only ever been to like the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
And Katie says like Rocky Mountains are like just like a tourist spot. Like you got to go to like some of these other mountains that are like in Colorado. Like we went to Evergreen. Evergreen's pretty cool.
Oh, so you're saying like Rocky Mountain National Park and shit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've done a few other hikes on like smaller mountains that weren't a part of like the national park, but
So Gunny, this dude has been like my biggest like Twitch supporter, like ever since I started.
Yeah.
He lives in Tennessee,
Yeah.
so he has a thick Tennessee
Yeah.
accent, and he says that all they do is shoot guns and throw axes.
Nice.
So I gotta go down there and shoot some guns.
Oh yeah, brother.
But no, the Appalachian Mountains are pretty cool too down there.
I've never been
Tennessee
further
a couple
east than
times.
Missouri.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Carolinas are sick. I love the Carolinas.
Katie really likes South Carolina.
South Carolina is
I
beautiful.
believe
Yeah, I
her
love South
brother,
Carolina.
when he was in the Marines, was over there for training and shit like that. Not training, but he was over there living there.
Dude, Katie and I always talk about like traveling, like backpacking
Mhm.
and shit, and we really want to go to like Sweden,
Like the
for
Swiss Alps and
yeah.
shit like that. Yeah, that'd be crazy to go to the Swiss Alps and like in France and shit like that.
Yeah, dude.
I think that'd be amazing. Definitely would like to see like, obviously the mountains in Tibet and shit like that too. You know.
Dude, just mountains are like they just hold so much like just knowledge. I think.
Dude, I definitely agree that there's like this sort of mystical sense of like wisdom for
From
sure.
mountains, yeah, dude.
For sure. Cause like, dude, when we were driving there, bro, when we were driving home, like literally, I'm just like, bro, people for real in this world think that like they own this shit, bro. Like you can't even go over there and climb that shit without dying because it's just too powerful for you. So like for people to say, yeah, I own this plot of land and you've got fucking rocks towering 1,200, 13, 14, 1,500 feet ahead of you and you can't even like, you physically can't conquer that, you know? Without, like, for example, without being in Zion where people have, you know...
The right.
Well, no, like, what I'm saying is like where people have created a path for you and paved it part way and created measures for it to be safe for you. You know what I mean? And honestly, dude, I think about Everest sometimes and like, obviously, like Everest is a challenge because you're climbing the tallest mountain in the world, that above sea level. But even like these days, dude, like Everest is becoming more and more a tourist attraction because of how not safe, but how much safer and how much more accessible they've made it for people to climb Everest.
Well,
It used to be like, dude, you got to be a master of master class mountain climbers to make Everest, but now it's like follow the path and you'll make it.
Well, yeah,
you
dude,
know?
that's what I hate too, is that now Everest is just becoming like a big tourist attraction, and everybody's leaving trash all over the place on that beautiful fucking mountain because they don't pick up after themselves when they're hiking, and they just leave all their shit behind, dude.
Yeah. And that's just crazy to me because, like, literally, people obviously have died on Everest, right? Back in the day when climbing Everest was, like, the accomplishment of accomplishments.
Yeah,
like, I climbed the tallest mountain in the world. And now, nowadays it's any tourist and their mom can go over there and get a guide and, some cold gear and climb it because they just follow the flags and stay on path.
Well, that's the whole thing of capitalism too. Like, everything's just becoming a lot easier because people are there to like make money. Like
right,
the guides
and
make money, shit like that.
For sure, I agree. I think there's definitely this sort of connection between like, sort of, I don't want to say defiling because that sounds like really harsh, but sort of ruining the mysticism, the special sort of environment around these really, traditionally, in a way, unapproachable environments. You know what I mean? Like the Rockies. I mean, back in the day, right? They were like, to cross the Rockies was, man, you really put it all out there.
Or just put a whole bunch of dynamite and made tunnels.
Yeah, exactly. And then people came along and were like, oh, let's just blow a hole through it, And again, the Everest, you got Everest, and now it's like commercialized. And it's like, okay, but now it's like, yeah, I climbed Everest, that's cool, but at this point, it's like you just got a sticker.
Yeah,
And like that's the thing. Like we did Angel Landing, and it was awesome because the site was beautiful. But like in the end, I was like, really, I just did like a glorified walk. I just went on a glorified walk because I didn't really hike. I just followed a path and I walked straight. I didn't like climb. I didn't like problem solve on the way up there or anything like that. It was just I followed a path that was laid out in front of me and I got really high in the air.
Dude, that's what
Which, don't get me wrong, it's, like I said, it's beautiful. And it was a cool experience, but there's nothing in the sense of willpower, strength, or whatever that required of me.
Yeah, so when you do leave Tennessee and you don't have any mountains, you will miss them for sure. I can tell you that.
True.
But when I was in Hawaii, and,
Dude, I would love to go to Hawaii.
dude, Hawaii is fucking beautiful. I love Hawaii. But when we went there a couple years ago, my dad woke us up at like 5 a.m. All right, we're going on a hike. I was like, sick. I'm gonna climb this mountain. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Dude, the whole way was just one big paved road
Mm-hmm.
up this mountain. You know, like that wasn't really a hike.
Yeah.
But they had like bars and shit that I hopped over, and I like sat on like a mountain cliff. So that was my kind of cool thing to do, because I definitely I love hiking. Like I've hiked so many times in like Tennessee, for example, to like waterfalls
Yeah.
and shit like that. Like up like dirt, dude. Dirt. I had to like use trees to like
Yeah.
get up this fucking
So you had
mountain.
to pave your own way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I don't know, dude. Like that hike in Hawaii, like as beautiful as like the scenery was, like it was just one big paved road, and people like ran it every morning. It was more of like a bike path than anything.
Yeah,
you know?
just like a path in the park. And not to say that I could be that Chad who's like, yeah, I just, climbed through trees and hacked down bushes and fought a bear on my way up fucking, Pikes Peak or whatever. But at the same time, I think it's still worth noting that, like,
It's
the
so-
hikes that people, claim that they've, like, obviously, don't get me wrong, anybody can do a hike and it's like, that's a good thing. Like, good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
You did that.
You walked up a mountain. Yeah, for
but
sure.
at the same time, it's like, it's that kind of, I don't know what the quote's from or who said it or whatever, but it's that classic like idea that like there's just there's no wild places left. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I don't remember where I've heard that, but I've heard it before. Or like the last wild places, are just so wild that it's just like not worth even trying.
I watched an episode of Our Planet last night. There's some beautiful places on Earth, dude.
Yeah.
They have really good cameras too. Really good cameras.
But like I think about like Yellowstone, for example. Like Yellowstone, in my mind, is probably one of the wildest national parks.
I've never been to a national park.
I've never been to Yellowstone. I would love to go to Yellowstone. But like I don't know. You've been to Rocky Mountain National Park?
I've
Or
never.
have you driven through the Mount Rockies?
Yeah, I've driven through the Rockies.
So when you
but,
drive
like,
through the
never-
Rockies, you take one of the roads connected to the national park usually. But there's so much traffic, right? That doesn't really feel like you're in a national park. It feels almost like you're part of like the wildlife safari in Nebraska. You're just driving through nature.
Yeah.
But like when I think about Yellowstone in my mind, like you're at a legitimate risk where when you're out camping that you could see a bear, right?
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to face nature legitimately. But even then, like I think about for a long time, Katie and I were interested in doing like the whole like van life thing and like building a van and like adventuring with that, And like people all the time go to Yellowstone. It's like the fact that you can drive your vehicle through Yellowstone and park somewhere in a way sort of ruins that sort of mysticism, that illusion of nature. You know what I mean? Of like being in the wild, but the fact that you got there without having to off-road in a vehicle, you just followed a paved path into the woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of takes away from that sense of naturalism and mystery and stuff like that in a way.
So whenever like my family went on vacation, we didn't like going to the real tourism-y attractions. Like in Colorado one year,
it's too fucking expensive to be fair.
Especially with 7 people in the
No,
van.
exactly.
Yeah, dude. But we would always we stayed at this bed and breakfast one year, and we asked the guy like, what's like the spot that like nobody knows about, and we're up in the mountains, blah blah blah. Like you had to park on the side of the road to like get to this spot or whatever, and it was a big cliff jumping spot. Like there was maybe like 15 people there. But it was a really cool experience. It was like one of those like there's no path or whatever. You had to climb down this mountain.
Yeah, you had to get there.
Yeah, and then on that same trip, we stayed at a camping grounds, but like we had to like lock up our food because of bears.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning and a fox was literally sitting around our like campfire.
Yeah.
And we got lost in the mountains. And my dad was so pissed, dude. He just stopped because we found like just this stream and lake. Just no one was at it. We just had it to ourselves, dude. It's just some random fucking place that we got to stop at, dude.
And there's something so special about that, like, and I've always loved, like in Colorado, how you can stop by a stream and just hop in the stream and hang out. You know, 'cause it's a natural downspring. It's amazing. It's one of the most refreshing and just like
so fucking cold.
It's so cold, but you just feel so good. Like you got your shorts hiked up to your crotch and you're just wading through some fucking mountain spring or mountain streams. You know, it's so cool.
Drink the water.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you're on the side of the highway, and it's like. Nature, it's not nature anymore. It's just.
See, that's what.
I mean, it's nature, but it's. I don't know. It's weird.
Dude, that's what Hawaii is, though. Since it's like such. We went to.
So much tourism.
I think it was Maui, the one with Honolulu.
I don't know anything. I don't know any of the geography of Hawaii.
Neither do I. I just went. It was. But like. Everywhere we go, it was just like there's a road.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just was just off to the side of the road, which is cool and all, but like definitely like. The whole islander aspect has been ruined with like tourism and shit.
Yeah, in a huge. I mean, relating to Hawaii and like native peoples and shit like that. I know that the native people of Hawaii actively fight against some of that tourism because it's
not the culture, you know.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's appropriating their historic and traditional culture, but in other ways, it's like that's their ancestral home, and they don't get any money from the tourism and the people and the land that's been, appropriated by the government and shit like that.
Well, every shop or like store or whatever place I went into, they would always say aloha.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Even if it wasn't even like an islander, it was just like a white person. Maybe they were raised there. Somebody from Hawaii. They'd always say aloha.
Yeah.
But like. No other native language was spoke.
Right.
You know, and that just kind of weirded me out because I didn't know whether to say aloha back or if I didn't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
It was just weird, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely, like, Hawaii is a really good example of, like, culture that's been sort of taken from the native people, and turned into tourism,
Yeah.
To some extent, like, the people who live in Hawaii, who are born in Hawaii, the tourism that occurs in Hawaii is the culture of Hawaii, right? So, like, they're not saying aloha because, like, oh, it's cool because the native people say aloha. They're saying aloha because they're just, like, that's what they're raised around,
Yeah, true.
But the tourism comes from the native traditions and stuff being turned into sort of an exotic attraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Well,
so, like, all the tiki luau stuff, that's all just a bunch of white people who are like, oh, I think that's really cool from your culture. Let's turn it into a business.
Well, yeah, dude. We went to one of those. We went to like this it was like a park.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a big dinner buffet. They had like one of those shows with like the fire spinning and stuff like that, and like dancing and stuff, which was really cool. But like it was literally all tourists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super weird, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Super weird.
And I mean, it's one thing for like the native culture to make tourism from their own traditions and shit like that.
Right.
Like, for example, like for the most part, as far as I understand, like in Japan, right? Japan's tourism comes from the fact that Japanese people understand that white people like that shit, and they're gonna make money from that, right? They're like,
they're okay with it.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna milk these white people with the money because they like what we have.
Yeah.
Right, but like Hawaii is white people came in and were like, yeah, I'm gonna make businesses from your shit, which is, I mean, just the sort of the history of America with native people. But
did you know you have to be 21 to buy tobacco products in Hawaii?
to buy what? Tobacco products?
Tobacco products.
I think that's the federal age now.
Oh, well, now. Well, okay. Well, I went.
But before then.
2018, something like that.
Okay.
Before it was passed. I tried to go buy cigars for me and my dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, here's my ID. Like, sure.
Yeah.
No, you got to be 21 in Hawaii. I'm like, you got to be shitting me right now. Yeah, dude, it was wild.
That is pretty crazy. I didn't know that.
I was blown away.
Yeah. Speaking of substances, when we were in Utah, dude, not a single advertisement related to beer.
Really?
Not a single one that I saw. Not even in the towns, nothing. Like, beer is treated like marijuana there, dude.
Wow.
Not the fact that like you have to have like a special card or some bullshit, but like.
Well, is Utah a pretty conservative state or no?
I don't know about like conservative, but I think there's a lot of influence from like the Mormon culture and stuff like that.
True.
I
forgot Utah is like the Mecca.
Yeah, I mean that's their holy land for Mormonism. Yeah, I went to a Family Dollar they didn't have any alcohol whatsoever. And then I went to another like grocery store there. They sold mixers for alcohol, but they didn't sell alcohol. You had to either go to the gas station or the liquor store to buy beer, not just hard liquor, but beer.
Dude, that's so weird.
And it was strange, dude, because I went into the liquor store, and obviously I had a Nebraska license. This chick seriously sketched me out. She looked at me and she said, like, I gave her a 6-pack of some beer that I was buying. She took my card. She looked at me, dude, just like that skeptical ass look, and then looked back at my card and says, "Okay." Like, dude,
Whoa.
like, it's just beer,
Okay,
bro.
well,
Like,
Nebraska's like the only place where you can buy like liquor and beer at like a gas station. Besides maybe Utah or whatever. Because I was down in Florida one time and I went to a gas station by our condo.
yeah?
And I was like, "Do you guys sell like shooters or anything that I can
Yeah.
just put my fucking slushy?"
Yeah.
They're like, "No, you gotta go to a liquor store." I
Really?
was like, "My bad, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not from here."
I didn't know that was a thing. I knew it was a thing that like there's states that only sold alcohol in liquor stores,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, in Utah, it appeared for the most part that you just could not buy alcohol in grocery stores, in like a family grocery. Gas stations, I think, for the most part, passed because I saw they had like cases of like Natty Light and shit like that in the coolers. But yeah, and then on the way home, fucking literally, like, we passed the Nebraska border by like maybe 20 miles. Fucking Busch Light, advertisements and shit like that. But none of that. There's no advertisement for any kind of substances whatsoever.
Well, dude, that brings
It's so
me
crazy.
right into, because I know we didn't get to all of our topics last week.
Yeah.
And I wrote down like alcoholism, shit like
Mm.
that. Because, I mean, I still drink it and shit, but
Mhm.
like, I fucking hate like getting like shit faced. I hate having one too many, dude.
Yeah.
Like, alcohol is
It
awful.
feels
for
terrible.
You, dude. Alcohol is really bad for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, like, I wrote this question down. Like, what would prohibition look like now? Like, how do you think people would handle that?
Dude, if they enacted prohibition right now. if
They
the federal-
reenacted the 18th Amendment.
Dude, if federal government was like, yeah, by the way, no alcohol, literal hellfire would rain from the sky. Like people would scream and like be
Ooh,
so
the red, white, and blue.
yeah,
Where
they'd be
people
so
playing in the
pissed,
back of their
bro.
trucks,
Yeah, dude,
shooting
they'd
off
have fucking,
AR-15s.
they'd have CCR on the radio and PVR in their hand, bro. They'd be like, fucking hell no, bro. Even the liberals would get up in arms about it, bro. They'd literally get a gun.
Well, that is our fucking culture nowadays. It's literally alcohol. Like,
Oh, dude, especially in Nebraska.
dude,
Nebraska
well, yeah,
is
there's nothing to do in Nebraska
a
but drink.
beer city for sure.
Well, there's nothing
The
to do
Midwest is
here.
a beer country, but part of the country.
It's just, dude, I don't know, man. As much as I like preach that I hate it, I still drink it, which I don't like about myself, I guess. But like, dude, it like throws me off. Like, I feel like even 1-2, like I just get in my head too much. Like, it just makes my shit worse.
Well, yeah, like on a night when I'm drinking, when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a couple drinks with the guys or whatever, I'm feeling great. Don't get me wrong, it makes me feel great. I'm social, I'm like having a blast, But yeah, guaranteed, especially on the days where I'm like drunk, when I get home and I'm like, God, I am drunk,
Yeah.
But like you said, even like when I have 1 or 2 beers, especially like a heavy beer or something, the next day, sometimes even the day after, dude, I'm depressed.
Dude,
Like,
high key.
Depressed, bro. Like, I hate myself. I hate everything about like my life, dude. And it's terrible. I mean, and obviously, alcohol's a depressant. Like, it's chemically designed to be that way. But yeah, alcohol is not good at all.
No.
I understand why there are people who are very anti-alcohol and cultures that are anti-alcohol because of like the way it alters your mood, But yeah, dude, I hate getting super drunk because not only do you feel like crap and sometimes you fucking vomit.
The I am drunk is way too relatable.
Yeah, dude, you're like,
For sure.
holy shit, and you lay down and you're just spinning, dude, and it's awful. But then the next day you got that nasty hangover and just your mood is fucked up. It's not good at all.
No, dude, and we continue to
And you just keep going. Because it's
sell
the culture.
it
It's like...
advertise it, but like THC is illegal.
Dude, yeah. Yeah. THC, marijuana, and beer are 100%. You can put them on the exact same plane. They're the same thing, bro. People use them for the same reason. Social, to escape feelings, to do whatever, dude. Marijuana is just the reason marijuana is so hated against is because of fucking
The war on drugs.
the war on drugs and the way that drugs have
propaganda
been,
and shit like
yeah,
that.
the way they've been portrayed in our media and in society and stuff by political agendas and shit like that. And the reason alcohol is not is because there's so much money
And tags.
already from alcohol. You know what I mean? There's so much money to be made from alcohol prior to the war on drugs. Because prior to the war on drugs, marijuana was widely used by white people, black people, every race.
Well, yeah.
And the minute fucking the war on drugs came out and they made it politically about, oh yeah, black people and Mexicans use marijuana, and then that convinced all the white people like, oh, marijuana's bad. And then all the fucking people who were using marijuana who are white decided, oh, for some reason it was terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Even though they were fucking doing coke lines on the daily.
Yeah, which is so much
Lines of
better.
coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, way worse.
It's like though. So I went to that 50 Shades of Green place,
Mhm.
right?
I was just driving. There's one on Dodge now.
Yeah, they're opening one up. So first question, I go in there because it literally says THC.
It's marijuana, bro.
Yeah, dude. The first question I ask when I walk in there is, "How do you guys do it?"
Yeah.
Like, what? They're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, most of it is CBD,
Mm-hmm.
but the other half is THC.
Yeah.
But the stuff that they sell in Colorado and where it's legal, it's District 9
Yep.
stuff where it's regulated.
Yep.
This shit is District 8.
8. Yes. Or it's Delta 8 or whatever.
Whatever,
call it,
Delta District, whatever it is. But apparently there's no psychoactive in it, so you don't get really paranoid. You still get the head high, body high, and you just feel relaxed.
Yeah.
So it's more of a CBD, but it's THC, so it hits a little bit
Yeah.
better. And it's not regulated, so they can fucking sell it.
Yeah,
it's
they
a
just be
it's
selling
a
it.
literal loophole.
When that first one on 13th Street opened, Katie and I got, like, probably 3 days in a row, we got coupons in the mail from the Fish
Yeah.
Shades of Green, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're selling.
Yeah, no.
There's no way they're selling flour.
No.
But they're like, yeah, dude, we got real ass marijuana, dude, for sale. And like I threw them away because I was like, dude, this isn't real. They're scamming people. There's no way. Or like maybe they're trying to get attention for like hoping that bill was gonna pass, you know. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's real. Katie uses it occasionally, and it's.
Is it nice?
I haven't used it.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, for
Does she like it?
I would say for people who do not get high on the regular, who are not like habitual users of marijuana, it's perfect.
Really?
Because it's like, I think for people who have a tolerance, right, it's not going to hit the right way. But like for people who are just like casually use it, maybe on a night when they're just trying to chill out, or like if they're just having a great night and just wanting to use it, I mean, it works fine. Like it's marijuana, dude. You just get high.
Absolutely mind-boggling to me.
I think it's so cool. I think it's
so cool.
I think
they
it's.
found a loophole. Yeah,
I think
dude.
whoever made that business has the biggest balls.
They're
literally
making shit tons of money right now.
Yeah, a ton of money.
And guess what? It's not taxed.
Really?
It's not taxed.
I didn't
dude.
know that.
So I ended up getting like $46 worth of stuff, and I was like, oh, it's gonna come out to like $50.
Yeah.
No, 46 even, dude.
Hmm.
Imagine if Nebraska taxed that shit, dude. Because you didn't see like Colorado and shit blow up until marijuana was legal.
Mm.
Everything in Colorado got so nice when marijuana was legal. Because
Dude,
they can tax the fuck out of
literal
it, dude.
elementary schools.
Off
For marijuana tax dollars,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
Well, like I was driving, sometimes I'll drive home because I work on Fort Crook, you know. I'll drive home on 13th Street and just take kind of the long way to like Leavenworth and then down to Pacific. And, dude, sitting outside of that building, not only are there like probably on average 8 cars in the parking lot at all times, but then they got like 4 people sitting on the sidewalk outside and then people coming in and out, dude. Like, there's so much money. I mean, it's like, it amazes me that there are people, as a part of the Conservative Party in Nebraska,
Pete Riggins.
who refuse to take advantage of that source of tax money just on the principle of trying to suck some other people's traditional values dick. I'm being like, oh yeah, marijuana bad, even though there are literal millions of dollars fucking flowing through right there.
Dude.
It's the same concept of with the casino thing, how we finally got the casino thing passed so we can have fucking casinos, bro.
Yeah.
Because all that money was being lost in Iowa that could have been just Nebraska tax and shit. That instead of taking it from fucking lower class
And now
people, it
even
can be taken from casinos.
More money is being lost here to Colorado for that reason
Exactly.
as
Yes. Exactly.
well. So Katie's parents were in town, and dude, her dad is so fucking funny. So apparently the governor in Colorado is really like liberal.
Yeah.
So like one day he had like, let's not eat meat day on this specific Monday,
Really?
to help with like meat
carbon
consumption,
footprints or something
carbon
like that, yeah.
footprint, shit like that. And then Pete Ricketts said something about we only eat meat on this Monday
Yeah,
in
Pete
spite
Ricketts is a
of fucking
prick,
Colorado.
bro.
Pete
Like-
Ricketts talks about how weed is killing our kids when it literally has killed 0 people.
Like, I can't say that I know much about Pete Ricketts' stances because I don't pay attention to Pete Ricketts. I don't pay attention much to
Yeah, he's an idiot.
his government, his ideas and stuff like that. All I know is that anybody who so adamantly refuses to do any research, who so adamantly refuses to form an
An
educated opinion, just is not fit for a government role.
No.
All he's doing, and from my perception of him, all he's doing is pandering to uneducated country people who unfortunately make up the majority of our voter base in Nebraska and sucking their penis. That's all he's doing. He said, I will keep my job, I will remain in this position making a shit ton of money off you stupid Nebraskans.
Well, he's done in 2022.
Yeah, and what I've heard is that he's setting some other chick up to take his position, and he's going to go as senator. He's going to try and take a senator position.
God.
That's what I've heard. I don't know all the details about it,
But
but
yeah,
that's what I've
apparently he's
heard.
like grooming her.
Yeah,
Like,
to like
not-
basically
not in the
fulfill.
sex way, but
No, yeah,
like,
to continue his fucking
which would be so disgusting.
yeah, his
Because
legacy.
how
if you
long
will.
are governors in office?
I honestly,
I think it's 8 years.
I'm a terrible American for not knowing that.
I think it's either 8 or 6. I've met the dude like twice. I've shaken that dude's hand.
Devlin loves him, bro.
Devlin loves his ass.
Which, and that's the thing. I mean, different stories for different folks.
Yeah,
but
true.
like, I can't, just on my own principles, I can't get behind somebody who so blatantly says stupid things just for the sake of pleasing a voter population.
Well,
I just can't support that.
there's so much research in it too, and trihobanol, cannabinol, whatever THC is.
Tetrahydrocannabinol.
Yeah, there. Thank you. But no, dude. Just even like, do you think he'd ever let psychedelics be on a bill?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nebraska will always be last place to legalize anything because those traditional values just hold so tightly on our politics.
That's
dude.
why I want to get those old fuckers out of office, dude. But I was I like reading up on it, and dude, they're like when the war on drugs happened in like the 70s or late 70s, start of the 80s, because everybody and their mom was doing like LSD and shit.
Hell yeah, bro.
Because it was legal and it was a synthesized drug to boost and like stop depression and anxiety. Like the chemist who synthesized LSD first made it so it was a drug to reduce anxiety and depression. Blah blah blah. And then the war on drugs happened because all these hippies were taking it and blah blah blah. And they just cut research in the late 70s. So imagine all that research we have lost from when it started up, and I think it was like 2010 or something like that, to where drugs that literally reduce depression and anxiety. It's just absolutely mind-boggling.
And for me, like, kind of going back to comparing alcohol and marijuana, that's not to say that marijuana is necessarily a good drug either, right? Because there are 100%, just like the alcohol can be used to escape bad feelings and to disconnect from your friends and family, and it can be used really negatively. So can marijuana. Marijuana can become sort of psychologically attached to the sense of relief, and in that way you start to kind of dissociate from your friends and family and escape, right?
It grabs onto the serotonin receptors too, doesn't it? So, I mean, if you're trying to get that, there's that serotonin, like, kind of, you're always looking for that higher high or whatever too, like, that can also be, like, bad as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that just illustrates the point that, like, while you can use it responsibly and recreationally and for social interaction and enjoy it with friends and have a good time by yourself too. It's having that being responsible enough to use it not as an escape and dangerously and self-destructively, right? Which makes me think a lot about, I think in Amsterdam and in like the Netherlands and shit like that. This was probably 2018, 2017 when they first did this, where they opened fucking safe houses for people to safely do heroin under the supervision of health professionals and shit. So it was like I think it was mostly for like rehabilitation and stuff like that. But heroin addicts, instead of being forced to secretly do it in fucking heroin dens and on the street in cardboard boxes, they were invited to come to these facilities, unjudged, do heroin, but at least you're fucking safe, where if you overdose, you're not going to just die in the street cold and alone, you know? You have health professionals present who will be there. Obviously, like I said, it's rehabilitation, so they're actively trying to get you into rehab and shit like that. But at the very least, if you relapse or if you're actively struggling with addiction, you're not doing it alone and in danger. And the same thing here, like, am I saying that we needed Nebraska fucking homes for people to get high and shit safely with the medical professionals? No, but I think that openness to people with addiction instead of
accepting.
Instead of being like, oh, you fucking pothead, stop being, a sinner. You know, instead of being like, hey, bro, you're kind of using marijuana in a really self-destructive way. Like, let's kind of get some help going on. You know?
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Or and then tied in with that is like just legalize it, because then people aren't getting laced doses and they're not getting fucked up from really messed up shit either.
Yeah. See, Oregon, dude, how all Schedule I drugs are like decriminalized now, and if like you do get caught
dude,
with
and
them,
at the very least, decriminalize that shit. Don't fucking waste my tax money on some dude who is just trying to hustle a fucking bag of weed across the border, dude. Like, fuck that. That's so dumb.
Dude.
Or mushrooms or whatever. Like,
what have you? Your jerk.
because at the very least, dude, all that guy's doing is he is exercising his right to experiment with his body and do what he wants to do, right? I can't, as a human being, say, no, bro, you can't do LSD. All right? So don't waste my money as a taxpayer on putting this guy in prison and feeding him and shit like that when he doesn't even deserve to be in prison. He's just experimenting with drugs.
Mind you.
Unless you're fucking distributing those drugs to fucking 12-year-olds.
This drug we call marijuana, gross. On this fucking planet.
Literally go fucking 20 miles south, dude. Or, probably more like 30, 35 miles. Country just south of Plasma, dude, you will find marijuana, in the form of ditchweed, but like it just grows naturally as hemp, as weed, whatever. It's in the grass, dude. It just grows out of the fucking ground.
Dude, well, if you look at tobacco, too, like, why is tobacco legal?
Because they fucking built our country.
Exactly, dude. So, why is tobacco legal? This substance that grows in the ground, legal, addicting, causes lung cancer, shit like that. Alcohol leads to alcoholism, liver cancer. This shit is legal, but marijuana, mushrooms, shit that grows in the ground and I know mushrooms doesn't have an addictive quality.
No, and I don't think marijuana has a naturally occurring addictive substance to it, but I think it's the psychological effects that cause people to become addicted.
But this shit, not addictive, grows in the ground, illegal. My guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think tobacco is absolutely absurd with the amount of... And to be fair, I definitely fall into that camp where it's like, what's the point of making tobacco, 21 or older? Especially in the context of, like, you're sending kids to war at 18. Like, those kids should be able to smoke a fucking cigarette if they want to. But, like... Yeah, this nicotine is one of, like, this is probably an exaggeration, but aside from opium, is one of the most addictive substances to the human brain. Nicotine, I believe I've read before that it takes two or three doses or something like that.
Oh.
Maybe it's more. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of opium, but it doesn't take very many doses before your brain is like, oh, I need that.
Oh, that shit's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long for your brain to be like, oh, I need that right now.
Well, dude, here's the thing, too, with, like, opioids and shit.
Whereas cannabis does not have that effect at all.
It's just, like you said, the psychological
And I think it should also be stated, like, smoking tobacco causes cancer because there's, like, over, like, 9,000 different carcinogens in tobacco smoke.
Well, not even, like, tobacco in general, but, like, cigarettes is, like...
Right, the processed product. But marijuana smoke obviously has carcinogens and, like, carbon monoxide and shit like that, but it's not to the same degree. But specifically, it's that element of addictiveness where like tobacco has a chemical designed to be addictive, whereas not marijuana doesn't. You know?
Well, dude, like, so opium,
Mm-hmm.
opioids. So I watched this Vice video
Mm-hmm.
where they are prescribing these soldiers opioids,
Mm-hmm.
which opioids, like you said, very addictive. People are taking opioids; they're painkillers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not well.
Oxycodone
Yeah.
is opium.
So
Not opium. It's a different. It's similar to, but it's in the same family. But it activates in the same way, etc.
like you take like a month of these pills, dude, you get like fucking addicted, and like people go through withdrawals if they don't have them and shit like that.
Mhm.
People are literally dying from like these sleeping pills too, dude. Like, and you know, I've done more extensive research, as in watching a lot of videos, articles, blah blah, of like how marijuana gets people off being addicted to opioids.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
dude.
know that.
It's actually like that's one of the big things for I think that they're keeping it illegal is like the health benefits for marijuana. Like people with what's it called? I mean, you could name them: schizophrenia, depression, anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one where you shake a lot?
Parkinson's is big.
Parkinson's, dude. Like addiction, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I've seen a really, really touching video where this like little kid, probably 6 years old, has terrible tremors, and when he starts, I don't know if it's related to seizures or not, but when the kid starts tremoring real bad, the parents say, "Okay, lay down," and they put a single drop of CBD oil under his tongue, chills right out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, my cousin, they have THC drops
Mhm.
for him because he freaks out like that too.
Yeah,
And they're like, all right, let me give. He doesn't know what it is.
yeah, just give you
But-
medicine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's THC drops, and they just drop a couple, and he's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good, dude.
yeah.
Or like how psychedelics, I mean, not just mushrooms, but like LSD. There's been trials where people have kicked the alcoholism, they've kicked the nicotine tobacco addiction.
Well, microdosing LSD and psilocybin has been heavily researched and supported as a treatment for microdosing, mind you, not full dosing. Microdosing has been proven as an effective treatment for people with severe PTSD.
Yeah.
Soldiers, stuff like that, who have severe PTSD, microdose. I don't know if it's prescribed, daily, weekly, monthly, occasionally, but a microdose of LSD and their PTSD is under control.
Well,
Which is amazing because otherwise
yeah.
these soldiers come back from war and they're fucking traumatized and struggling through life and struggling to be a civilian because their life is plagued by their PTSD.
yeah.
But then all you gotta take is like a fucking 1/16 of a tab of LSD and they're totally fine.
Well,
And that's not even enough to get like a trip going.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
to
dude.
treat the PTSD.
yeah. Well, it unlocks those kind of like those brain pathways,
Mhm.
So to microdose psilocybin is more of like the depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And then you see these people in Silicon Valley, like all these famous like rich people
Using it
doing,
as like a nootropic.
and then LSD microdosing using as like creativity, it boosts
Yeah.
brain function, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So two different ball fields, which is fantastic. Why aren't we using this as a collective?
Yeah.
To kind of make things better at where our shitty fucking
Yeah. And I understand, like, researchers and politicians and medical professionals, like, need to ensure for the general public that these things aren't going to be, like, addictive to a destructive extent, right? Where, like,
Okay,
if 70% of the population starts microdosing LSD and then all of a sudden 70% of the American population is unable to function, that's pretty fucking bad, right? Now our economy falls apart, healthcare systems fall apart, our fucking society falls apart, right? That makes sense. But you don't have to jump to that level of like, oh, everybody's going to get doing it now without allowing it for people who need it. At the very least, dude. Even the fact that medical marijuana was denied in Nebraska is so infuriating because you're denying so many people an affordable treatment for their health issues, right? More affordable than fucking 30-day courses of oxycodone every month. Like, it's just not,
Do you
that's
think-
not affordable.
do you
Big
think
Pharma hates marijuana, 100%.
Oh well, yeah, because a lot you can go get a gram for $8. You can get a pre-rolled joint for $5, dude.
Mhm.
Like
But and like I said, you get oxycodone or oxycontin, and you spend a big money on it.
Yeah. Do you think there's a cure for cancer?
I don't know. I go back and forth where like on one hand I'm like, oh yeah, obviously like if we can fucking, do X, Y, Z with our technology, we have to be able to treat cancer, right? Scientifically, it kind of makes sense. In a sci-fi sense, it makes sense. But on the other hand, I like to believe that like we don't live in such an evil world that they would deny millions of people treatment for their health.
Cancer is a $13 billion industry.
I mean, it's huge. Yeah, I know that the numbers point to that there's a huge incentive to keep the cure away, and I know there's a huge incentive financially and economically to be like, oh yeah, there's no cure, we're still struggling for the last 40 years, and even though we developed a treatment for COVID-19 in a year, you know what I mean? I understand what that looks like, but I like to believe that we don't live in. I want to believe that we don't live in such an evil world that when hundreds of thousands of millions of people die every year because they got prostate cancer, that I like to believe that we're not hiding that cure from people. And on the other hand, too, it's like if it is such a big financial thing, if Pfizer created the first fucking cancer vaccine or cancer treatment, just like HIV, you can sell that bitch for $10,000 a pop, and people will buy it, and you'll make so much money. So, like, to me, the argument that there's so much money in it doesn't quite pan off, because the money that you can get for a treatment, because when say Pfizer again or Johnson & Johnson or whoever, when they create a treatment, they have the exclusive rights to creating that for X amount of years.
Yeah.
Depends on the copyright they get, depends on the whatever they get. They can make they can decide the price. They can say, I want $10,000 for every single one of these pills or shots or whatever for the next 20 years. And then it hits generic and you got every other company making it. But there's so much money to be made in a cure as well.
Well, I don't know though, because not everybody gets cancer.
No.
So,
but I'm not saying that this is a preventative treatment. I think I'm saying that's in the sense of like, oh, I have cancer, I can take this shot for 6 months and it's going to get rid of the cancer.
Okay.
And so if I'm taking a $10,000 shot twice a month for 6 months, you just made $120,000 off of one person.
True.
At the very least, and in the very least, that's $120,000 of debt that they have and $120,000 you just got from insurance companies.
How much is chemo?
Expensive. I mean,
or radiation therapy.
I mean, yeah. At least $50,000, right?
A year or
no
total?
I think like when I think of people who get cancer and it's a treatable phase of their cancer, right? Not in like this is a 50-50 or terminal, but like if we get ahead of it right now, you'll be just fine. We'll be able to get rid of the cancer, call you cleared, and you're done, right? It's got to be like $50,000, dude. 50, 60 grand. I think that's. I don't have a source, but I feel like in my head that's the number I've heard a lot, or like around the ballpark, right? Between 50 and 80 at the least, right? Depending on how severe it is, how much there is, how much their doctor's like, yeah, let's do one more just in case or whatever, you know what I mean? Because I mean, it's high enough for me, like if I'm 50 and they come around and say, yeah, dude, you got cancer, we got to start treating it. Sorry, bro. Like, I'm not going to leave a $75,000 debt on my family, just because I have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a big enough expense for me to be like, it's just not worth the treatment.
So I just thought about this. Remember in high school when Sydney got cancer, and then you kind of got the whole thing gathered around for Michelle.
Yeah, Katie, me, and a couple other people from the Leadership Academy deal that Miss Field put on for a while.
I like to think of that as more of definitely like to think of it as an experiment. Not really an experiment, like you guys just had to like really help her.
Yeah, we didn't get that much money for her, but we tried.
Yeah, but shoot, Sydney's foundation or whatever, because she was a more popular person, got a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So
or even think, and this is a sad example of Mr. Gering's daughter. She had a lot of assistance for a long time. All 4 years that we were in high school, at the very least, and I think even before that. Mm-hmm.
After that.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, in the aftermath, they got a lot of help too, but, I don't know.
Fuck, man, cancer's a bitch.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's devastating enough to enough rich people that if there was a cure, it would have been released, right? And I think the fact that it's been devastating enough to enough rich people that is a big enough factor for them to be like, okay, yeah, we got a cure. Because if rich people can afford it, then for sure they're gonna release it.
Right. But like
Or if rich people need it. I mean.
HIV and AIDS too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no cure for that either. Like
They have treatments though for
so
HIV.
there's treatments for HIV to keep it HIV before it turns into AIDS.
Well, actually,
Right.
So yes, they have that, but they also have a treatment now, and I don't remember how many years this came out, but I feel like I remember hearing two different things. One, right before I started working at the pharmacy, I think I remember hearing that they have found with HIV treatment, and maybe you're correct that it's before it turns into AIDS, but they have found, because even when you have HIV, the virus is still in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they have found that after enough treatment, the HIV, the virus, is no longer present in your body, even though you have HIV. So after
It's
a
just
long,
in your blood.
it's hard to explain. Like so like it's like dormant or whatever. So like when you have HIV untreated, right, it's active and it's progressing into AIDS, and then you start treating it and it keeps it at bay. But then they have found that after enough treatment, it's like undetectable in your body. But then when you stop taking treatment, it reappears in your body.
Okay.
So after enough time, essentially you no longer have HIV is what it looks like.
But you still gotta keep.
But yeah,
up
it's
with the treatments.
still there. But when you do tests, it looks like you don't have HIV, right?
Okay.
But then they also, I feel like I remember reading at UNMC a couple of years ago that there was a student or a researcher or somebody who was doing experiments with HIV, and they did a successful a couple trials with something with DNA related to HIV treatment. They found that it nearly, I don't remember if it nearly eliminated the HIV from their body or if it was successful in eliminating HIV from the patient's body in the treatment. But I don't know if those are the connected ideas where they eliminated HIV, but if they stopped the treatment, it came back. I'd have to do more research or like try and find the article again. But I feel like I remember at UNMC they had a team of researchers who were working with HIV who found a really effective treatment or something.
Well, because I read this conspiracy, definitely not funny, but that HIV and AIDS is so present in the African American community is that, of course, they want, America's just very racist, so they want to keep the African American community in poverty, so they won't release that HIV/AIDS kind of treatment to get rid of it, just to keep them in poverty. I mean, obviously that's just a conspiracy. I don't want to believe it, or if I don't believe it, but it's definitely still present in my mind.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things again where it's like you don't want to believe that we live in such an evil world that's what's really happening. Like it's one thing to have systematic racism, and another for some like shadow cabal of elites to be like, yes, we have the cure to HIV, but we hate black people.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I find it hard to think that that's what's happening. But man, dude, especially like obviously as time goes on, more and more we become less and less trustful of our government, you know. So it becomes easier to fall victim to these conspiracies and think, you know, that's really fucking probable, dude, or possible, you know?
Dude, like, look at what, like, the government has been shitty, though, dude. Like, I don't like to believe I'm, like, a sovereign citizen or whatever. I just like to stay, like, out of politics and shit like that. But the government has done some pretty shitty fucking things, dude.
100%, dude. They've hidden a lot of stuff from the American people. Or, like, even, like, what was I just going to bring up? Sound like there's a car horn outside. Yeah, or something. God, what was I gonna say? There's something about hiding something from the people.
Well,
God, I wish I could remember.
They definitely hid the fact that Germans made flying saucers.
Oh, I was gonna say Epstein, dude.
Oh,
That
yeah.
shit, like the fact that kind of shit exists is like, man, there's some real dirty shit happening in the world related to people in politics that just does not get brought up, dude.
Well, if we go back to the whole drug psychedelic thing, I forgot.
Or like the fact that I just watched a video earlier. Sorry,
There you go.
I watched a video earlier of like this guy in Germany like 2 years ago who was an officer of the SS. He's like 94, and they charged him with like 300,000 counts of murder because he was related to Auschwitz. And somebody made a good comment about, yeah, but like we're gonna ignore the fact that the U.S. employed fucking hundreds of German scientists after World War II. Like Nazi scientists were employed by the U.S. for technological advancements because the Germans, the Nazis, were so technologically advanced. Like their culture was about advancement and technology, and like we were like, yeah, we want that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like fucked up. Like, how the hell are you gonna take some of the most sick minds and be like, yes, you were employed by our government.
But top secret, so don't tell anybody.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just whack too.
So like, okay, so Christopher Columbus taking away the indigenous people's land, fucked up, very fucked up. But like that definitely was like the whole divide and conquer thing.
Yeah, I mean definitely like that period of imperialization, right, or imperialism.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, we have power, you are not even speaking my language, I'm gonna just conquer you. Like that's all fucked up.
Yeah, definitely fucked up, but that's how that was the way of the road.
Mm.
But so indigenous people used. I just watched this. So this chemist named Hamilton Morris.
Mhm.
I love this dude. He's a chemist who his life's work is like psychedelics.
Mhm.
And there's this cactus that grows.
Ayahuasca.
It's not ayahuasca. Peyote.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Peyote. So how?
I think peyote and ayahuasca are one and the same.
Are they?
They might be. I think ayahuasca is. I might be wrong. I don't know. Anyways, peyote. Sorry.
Well, peyote like grows down in Texas or whatever.
It's a cactus.
Yeah, it's a cactus. That's also illegal and
Mhm.
also grows.
It's only allowed to be used by native tribes for ceremonial purposes.
Yes, but it wasn't always like that.
Really?
So they actually banned the use of it, but then indigenous people were like, "Yo, like this
This
is
is significant to our spiritualism.
part of our culture," and then Clinton signed into law that only natives were allowed to use it in certain settings.
Yeah, for their specifically for tribal
Yes.
ceremony and stuff like that.
Another plant that grows on this planet that
Well,
is
DMT
legal.
grows naturally.
Yeah,
It's
and,
not synthesized.
red tree
chemical.
bark. Red tree bark. There's like that's how people make it is like this red tree bark that grows in Texas.
See, I've seen a video of some guy working in Mexico harvesting the trees and turning it into DMT.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think maybe I saw that video linked to a Joe Rogan podcast at one point. I don't remember, but
No, dude. There's like there's a story that this dude ordered a whole bunch of red tree bark dust, and this dude almost got like 30 years in prison because they thought it was DMT that he ordered to his house. And there's this whole big thing and blah blah blah, and then down the street from his house, the tree literally grows in like a public park.
yeah.
So, it's dude, our government's fucked in the
Well,
head.
because
dude.
yeah, and especially in the case of that kind of stuff, it's just a matter of control and like it's economic and political interest. You know, who's got the money, who's got the voice. You know, and it's like, well, we the pharmaceutical industry decide that marijuana, that DMT, LSD, psilocybin, etc. You know, we don't like that competition on our market. You know.
So, to kind of, you know how we were talking about Disney last week?
Yes.
Or not last
Yeah,
week,
how
2
they
weeks ago.
own everything.
How they own everything. So, I was looking at Disneyland parks.
Mm-hmm.
So, first thing I looked up was how much a water bottle was there.
At Disneyland?
Yep, $4.
For a bottle of water?
$3.99.
For what, 12 ounces of water?
I-
16 ounces of water or
I
something?
didn't dive that deep, but probably like I think they sell. They have a
Like a Dasani bottle of water.
yeah, because I know they have. I know for a fact that they have a deal with Coke.
Okay.
And Coke is Dasani, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a $4 bottle of Dasani.
Disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. Dasani's gross, but given, you can go fill that water bottle up and like. I would hope people would fill that water bottle up in like the water fountains and shit like that.
Yeah, dude, you got the fucking big ass fountain in the middle of the park. You're like dunking your water in
Yeah,
there.
but if you're walking around all day, dude, like you need that fucking water, man. Like you're gonna go get a bottle of water.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I guarantee that Disney Parks has their park laid out perfectly, where water fountains are just placed apart from each other enough to be like within the limits or like the regulations of like state, but far enough that people are more likely to buy their fucking water instead of walk to a water fountain.
so the cost of Disneyland per year is $14 billion.
For like people buying passes and
No, that's the
amusements?
cost.
Oh, for them to run it.
For them to run is $14 billion a
Jesus
year.
Christ.
So they have in revenue is $26 billion. right? So
Revenue
that's
or profit?
revenue.
Okay.
So it's 5.49 million per day that Disneyland makes.
That's disgusting, bro.
Absolutely disgusting. Now, given people are allowed to bring food in, like whatever, but they're kind of set up like a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Like movie theaters, they make nothing off movie tickets.
No,
They
it's
make all their sales off
all-
concessions.
Yeah.
So I just looked up. People love the fucking churros from Disneyland, right?
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Never
love
heard
it.
of that.
Yeah, dude.
I've never been to Disneyland
I went
World.
when I was like 3.
I've been to Disneyland in California like once.
Yeah, but people love the churros.
Hmm.
So we're gonna play a little game. How much do you think a churro costs?
Considering you told me it's supposed to be like concessions, a churro, which is fried dough rolled in cinnamon sugar,
Sir,
should
they-
cost $1 at a churro truck. Often $1 or $2 at a churro truck. Probably cost $9 at
$6.50.
$6.50.
$6.50.
That's better than I thought, but that's still
That's
ridiculous.
still
That's
ridiculous.
like that's like 3 churros.
Yeah, dude. So get this. I looked up what kind of churros they sell. So they sell Tio Pepe churros.
Like the brand.
The brand.
Huh.
Yeah. So I can get 100 of these churros in a case on Amazon for $95.99.
For 100.
For 100.
So less than $1 a piece.
Less than $1 a piece. They sell 2.8 million churros a year at these parks. So that's $18,200,000 in churros that they sell. So they're gonna have to buy 28,000 boxes of churros that they buy every year. They might buy more, they might lose, whatever. Yeah, 28,000 boxes of churros that they sell
At $100 a box.
at $100 a box. So,
Their profit is huge on churros.
so get this. They spend $2,798,600 on churros
Mm-hmm.
per year.
They probably get those churros for
Probably
30
even-
cents a piece
They
because
probably
it's
get those
Disney and they got a
discounted.
discount.
Yeah, they probably get
That's
those
like
discounted.
McDonald's getting a discount on Sprite because they got that big ass deal.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
they make
Jesus
$15 million,
Christ.
$15,401,400 just on churros
A year.
a year on that price of the box on Amazon.
And it's probably better than that.
Yeah,
Probably by a lot.
a lot. Dude.
That's so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
For churros?
Yeah, dude.
Bro, you go to Tia down the street, bro, and they're gonna her
Yeah.
churros are probably 10 times better.
Yeah,
That's wild. So stupid.
absolutely
So stupid.
blasphemous.
Dude, heresy. Dare I say, bro.
Yeah.
That shit is nasty. That's awful. That's just flabbergasting. That's almost speechless.
Yeah.
How absurd that is.
So tickets are the highest ticket you can get at Disneyland is like $200, $195.
What, like the express pass or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tier 4. They have 51,000 visitors a day, average. So that's like $7 million
God.
a day just off ticket sales.
That's so dumb.
365 days a year.
That's dumb.
I mean, given it costs a lot. I couldn't find anything on how much it costs to build up a Disneyland, like starting cost. Couldn't find anything on it, but I know it costs $14 billion a year to run.
That's absurd.
And how much electricity they're using?
Well, yeah, how much energy, how much just resources in general that they're consuming to create this entertainment. Dude, entertainment, it's absurd how much money human beings will spend for entertainment.
Because it's that fucking dopamine rush.
Dude,
Like,
it's seriously, it is. It's literally like, please, sir, just a drop of dopamine.
Can I
Like,
have some more?
yeah, just a wee squirt, please.
It's
Dude.
atrocious.
Yeah, and keep in mind, that's Disneyland. That's not Disney movie entertainment. That's not Fox. That's not... I think they own... No, Warner Brothers is Universal, right? But that's
Because
not...
Universal isn't owned by Disneyland.
No. But I mean, like, that's not even considering the fact that they have access to the income from ESPN, from fucking, like I said, Fox.
They own 10% of Vice, actually. Yeah.
So basically,
Which Vice is a very liberal.
the moral of the
news station,
story
too.
is that all of our news, everything that we know in America, is filtered through the lens of Disney. That means Disney controls our education.
See, and I feel like that's like what we're living like a Disney simulation right now. There's this
Bro, the world is just so dystopian, bro.
Yeah,
It's absurd.
I looked up Because I was looking
And
up,
yes, they have fucking Walt Disney's head frozen in a fucking chamber, bro.
probably do. It's disgusting.
So they can reanimate it when they're later, like Futurama.
They have a statue there of him,
Do they?
which is, I mean, given, but
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. And like, obviously, I don't think Walt Disney, when he opened the park, was like, yes, world domination.
yeah.
He's probably like, yeah, I like animation and I want to share my passion with the world, and also I do enjoy money.
Right.
You know?
Like,
But-
I'll make a quick buck.
yeah.
But, no, dude. And you know what I hate? Adults obsessed with Disney. So disgusting.
Absolutely. The people who are like, yeah, dude, who are like, I have to go, I have to be engaged at Disneyland.
So disgusting.
Get out of here, bro.
But I brought up Prohibition earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and there was an anti-saloon league, ASL it was called,
Mhm.
very religious group trying to get rid of alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't hear a single lick of that group in any of my textbooks, and that was like the biggest group to get alcohol.
They're huge here in Nebraska.
Are they?
And they were huge in Omaha. Because Omaha, back in Prohibition, was one of the biggest bootlegging communities. Like, we had so much between here and certain communities in Iowa. Back in Prohibition, dude, Omaha, not only do we have, like, that crazy history of lynchings and a lot of racism, but, like, dude, Omaha, I did a lot of research about this, like, in my free time a while back. Omaha used to be there used to be this guy, I forget his name now, and I really wish I could remember, but, like, he owned all of, like, the underground shit in Omaha. He had his, like, hand, like, puppeteering the mayor of Omaha. He ran, like, Omaha was huge for prostitution, bootlegging, gang shit, running alcohol and drugs back and forth around places, like, crazy, dude. Omaha used to be huge for sort of underground black market, illegal alcohol and stuff like that. Omaha was, like, seen as, like the devil's city in that sense. In my ASL group, there's a commissioner or a sheriff or somebody of the police department who was sort of affiliated with that ASL group, who, like, opposed this kingpin essentially of Omaha to shut down a lot of this bootlegging and this speakeasies and shit like that, dude. Omaha was crazy.
Yeah, dude. Cause they would like coerce like government officials to like ban alcohol
Mm-hmm.
because they're that like.
Yeah, they
into
lobbied for like huge
Yeah.
changes and stuff.
It's crazy, but I didn't hear anything about them until fucking 3 hours ago, dude.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
America runs on alcohol, bro.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Europeans sold brandy and gin to Africa for literal slaves.
Yeah,
Absolutely atrocious.
it's crazy, dude. Dude, I feel like life is absurd.
It is fucking
There's no
absurd.
reason for anything, and the fact that we exist is just absurd and ridiculous.
This
and,
conscious experience.
and that's
is
what
fucked.
drives me forward. The fact that my life and my existence is just so ridiculous and absurd is just, you just gotta accept it as it is.
See,
'Cause
that's
there's not
yeah.
like, this world is just gonna go on the way it is. Life is gonna go on the way it is. People are gonna ruin the world the way it is. And I'm just gonna continue existing. I was ripped from nothingness and placed into this world to exist, and it's kind of ridiculous. The odds of me existing pretty much close to zero, but here I am, and that's fucking ridiculous.
Dude, well, like whenever someone asks me about politics or like trying to get my views, I'm like, I know they exist. I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about politics at all, dude. Because I know like it's just either way, something stupid, something great's gonna happen. I'm just here for it, you know.
Yeah, for the most part, my political opinions and views are pretty much just synonymous with my personal values and principles.
And mine are always changing too. Like,
Yeah, when I learn new things or like see different opinions and stuff, I include that as a part of like my knowledge of the world. But I mean, I by the definition of what we have as political parties and stuff like that, I'm certainly a more progressive individual. But I'm like, when we first turned 18, I was like, hell yeah, I'm a Democrat, bro. I'm gonna put that shit on my voter registration or whatever. Like, hell yeah, bro. Not anymore, bro. I'm not a Democrat. Like, because I don't associate with the nonsense that Democrats, Republicans, etc. are presenting themselves as anymore. It's like, no, I don't give a shit about any of that. This is what I believe, and I don't care if it's affiliated with your fucking club. I don't give a shit about your club.
Yeah, are
Fuck
you
your clothes,
are you
dude.
still registered Democrat?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't
Because-
change it before the last election.
Yeah, I know I'm still registered as a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more a Republican as in like economic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I kind of live, I'm like, I don't even care about economics at this point. Either way,
Pro communism, baby.
more of a independent. I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, certainly, when the time comes for me to change my my voter registration, I'm moderate.
Yeah.
I don't see a point in associating with a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian or Green Party or Bull Moose Party. I don't give a shit, bro. It doesn't matter. In the end, it does not matter. All that matters is that all that I care about is if I vote according to my values.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's, and I don't care if it's somebody who's like, I'm a Democrat and I'm saying exactly what other people who think they're Democrats want to hear. You know?
Like, I forgot what we were even fucking talking about. Fuck it. I really have to pee.
All right. Well, that's
So-
our sign off.
Yeah. I
We
really
went an
gotta pee.
hour. We went a half hour over time.
Fuck it, dude.
This is the extended cut. So
Yeah, we're gonna cut it off right at an hour. You're gonna just subscribe to our OnlyFans.
yeah,
the
to our
rest.
Patreon.
Yeah, please subscribe to the Patreon /Wandercast.
Yeah.